We have arrived to the central book of the Torah, the third out of 5, the book of Vayikra, known in English as Leviticus. And it is central not only because of where it stands in the Torah, but because of the heart of the message it contains. If we are honest, the opening chapters of Vayikra can feel foreign. They speak of sacrifices, of blood, of ritual purity and impurity, categories that seem far removed from the modern life. We do not bring offerings to an altar. We do not live with the same heightened awareness of ritual states. And so we might be tempted to think that this book belongs to another time, another religious consciousness. But that would be a mistake. There is a word that echoes throughout this book, a word that at first feels distant, almost inaccessible to us, and yet may be the very core of Judaism. That word is Kedusha, holiness. The root Kuf Dalet Shin appears again and again in this book, 152 times. By contrast, it appears only once in Genesis, a handful of times in the non-priestly sections of Exodus, and sparingly in Deuteronomy. But something shifts here. Vayikra is the Torah's sustained meditation on holiness and the call to become a holy people. But what does that word actually mean? At its core, Kadosh means to set apart, to designate, to dedicate something for a particular purpose. It is not simply about being pure or spiritual. It is about intentionality. To declare something holy is to say, this is not random. This is not trivial. This belongs to something greater. Holiness is a relationship. And perhaps that is why the book begins with the priests, with the most sacred rituals, like the inner sanctum of religious life, but it does not stay there. As Vayikra unfolds, it expands outward. It moves from the altar to the marketplace, from the sanctuary to society and the family nucleus. Because holiness is not meant to remain in sacred spaces alone. It is meant to shape an entire way of life. In this very book, we encounter more than offerings and incense. We have here the foundations of a just and compassionate society. We read about fair business practices, of ethical employer-employee relationships, of care for the vulnerable. We encounter the command, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. We are told to leave the corners of our fields for the poor, to act with honesty in judgment, to refuse to exploit or degrade another human being. And then, at the heart of the book, comes one of the most powerful social visions in all of Torah, the Jubilee. Proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants. Debts are released, slaves go free, land returns to its original families, society resets itself, refusing to allow inequality to become permanent injustice. This is holiness. Not only the mysteries of the sanctuary, but the structure of a society built on dignity, equity, and compassion. The great modern Jewish thinker, Rabbi Joseph Soloveitchik, offered a powerful way of understanding this idea. He suggested that the secular world is often experienced as fragmented, divided into competing domains, conflicting interests, and disconnected parts. Work is separate from home, ethics from economy, religion from daily life. It is a world of separation. Holiness, by contrast, is the experience of integration. It is the ability to see each object, each person, each moment as part of a larger whole. Nothing is isolated and nothing is meaningless. Everything can be gathered into a unified vision of purpose. In that sense, holiness is not about escaping the world. It is about redeeming it. every aspect of life, our work, our relationships, our possessions, our time, they can all become a vessel for something greater when it is aligned with a higher purpose. Or, to put it more simply, the secular world is what we experience when things feel disconnected. The holy world is what we discover when we begin to see the connections. We live in a time that often feels fragmented. Our attention is divided. Our commitments pulled in different directions. Our sense of purpose sometimes is unclear. It is easy to experience life not as a coherent story, but as a collection of disconnected moments. Vayikra offers a different vision. It suggests that holiness is not escapism from that fragmentation, but the act of ordering it by bringing intention into the ordinary, by aligning our actions with our values, by refusing to let life remain random or accidental. Holiness is not a feeling, it is a discipline. Holiness is expressed through restraint, through ethical discipline, through how we conduct ourselves in the most ordinary aspects of life. It is built through choices, how we speak, how we earn, how we treat others, how we structure our time, how we respond when we are tested. If Genesis is the story of creation and Exodus the story of liberation, then Leviticus asks the most difficult question of all. What do we do with the world we have been given and the freedom we have been granted? Do we allow life to remain scattered and unformed, or do we shape it into something that reflects a higher purpose? There is a beautiful way to express this idea. God, in creating the world, made space for us. The question Vayikra leaves us with is whether we are willing to make space in return with our time, our actions, our communities, and the structures we build together. Holiness is what happens when we stop drifting and start designing our lives with care.